Awesome. All right, so we can now jump into the amazing panelists that we have today. So if somebody wants to kick it off, go ahead, and then we can just go around and you guys can all just introduce yourselves.
I'll start. I actually, unfortunately, have a time constraint today, but I just wanted to pop in and say hello. My name is Shelby Chargan. I run a nonprofit called Girls Behind the Rock Show. I've been doing that for about 6 years. In my time of running Girls Behind the Rock Show, I have also worked a multitude of corporate industry jobs in the branding side mostly. I've done brand deals with like Nike, AT&T, HBO. I've worked on major campaigns for them, and then I've worked on major campaigns for artists like Billie Eilish, Ed Sheeran, other people like that. So I've been able to do a lot of different things in and around my time at Girls Behind the Rock Show. Sorry, my family's here. And we've been a nonprofit for 6 years. We have 11,000 members in our Facebook group. It's primarily for young women and people who don't identify as male in the industry. And yeah, I started in music when I was 15. I'm 28 now, and this is what we're doing. And last year, I recently left corporate to start my own artist management company, which should be launching within the next couple of months. So that's me.
Cool.
Yeah, and then you guys can just kind of, whoever wants to go and
I'll
speak,
go
go
next.
for it.
Hi, everybody. My name is Stacey Morales. I'm a live events freelancer, and I've been doing concerts since 2019 now. So I guess I'm fairly new to it. And I also founded 1520 Vision Mentoring, which is a music industry mentorship program for younger students aged primarily 15 to 20, hence the name, because we want to give opportunity to younger students who don't necessarily like have that in and like want to be exposed to the music industry. So we've had plenty of mentors from lots of different record labels, production managers of big artists on tour and stuff. And it's been a very great program, and we're starting up again this year. So if any of you are interested in being a mentor, you can totally reach out to me. We would love to have you. And I also manage a band called Fox Club, and they're a local alt rock band in Southern California. So I'm happy to meet all of you guys here.
Cool. I'm just gonna go next if that's cool. So I know a few people here. My name's John Cotter. I am a kind of just multimedia journalist. I started off doing a lot of film industry coverage in college with like A24, Warner Brothers, Universal, Disney, and that kind of led me to working and doing some interviews with like Warner Music. Like I know Wes is here, and I did stuff with like Young Gravy, K Camp, Youngblood, and then that kind of just led me to starting my own like TikTok page called Media Mayhem in like June, just covering hip hop and other parts of the industry. But I also cover live music. I do photography, but I also do videography for a company that is like artist relations. So I get to go to like Lollapalooza backstage and kind of get a feel of all of that while also taking pictures. It's a dream come true. It's amazing, and it takes a lot of hard work, but it's all worth it if you love what you're doing, which I love what I'm doing. So yeah, thank you for having me today.
I'm happy to go next. My name is Molly. My full-time job is I am the director of marketing and communications at Hit Video Promo, which is a music video promotions company based out of New Jersey. I live in Philadelphia. I did not even know that music promotion was like its own field. It's definitely like a very small niche, but anyone interested in marketing, PR, anyone with a background in writing or photography or videography or anything creative, I think there's a lot of opportunities for that here. And I got this role essentially because of my own writing background. I ran a blog called Circles and Sound Waves for a very long time. I wrote for Substream. I wrote for Access.com. I've taken photos for Kerrang. I've had photos in alternative press. And I currently We also have a podcast called Generation GC that's all about Good Charlotte, and that's just a very fun little niche project, and I recognize a bunch of names in here, so I am happy to see everyone and to connect with a bunch of new people.
I'll go next. I'm definitely new here. I don't know anybody yet, but I am a artist manager for a local band here in Houston, Texas. I also, besides managing them, I run all their social media marketing. I'm their merch manager, and I send out all the emails and everything else like that. It's definitely fun being their band photographer because then I get to boss them around extra a little bit more. So I like to have that over their heads. But I first started in photography, and then it just kind of blossomed into, hey, like, I see that you're really good at social media. Can you help us out? And then it went to, hey, you want to just full on manage our band? And I was like, psh, I got this. So I've been doing that for a whole year now. And I currently am enrolled in 2 colleges, doing communications and media and to be a part of the music industry. So it's definitely fun. And the band I manage is an alternate rock band. And so I get to do all the rock shows, and it's fun bringing my daughter along when I can because she just learned how to do her rock hand, and it's hilarious. So.
Hi, I'll go next. I'm Kelly Benini. I work at Applause. I'm the artist relations manager. Prior to that, I worked at Altadena, which was an artist development company founded by hit producer Busby. And then prior to that, I worked at CAA in the music touring department. So a bunch of different experiences. I'm really grateful to be here. Thank you, Tara, for hosting this. I sometimes pop into the channel, but always feel free to ping me outside the channel. I will respond. It's great to see everyone, and hopefully we'll get to connect. And yeah, if you have any artists that are looking to do live streams, what I usually do is I pull different artists that have similar genres. We put them into a room together and then cross-pollinate the fan bases, and it helps to grow everyone's audience. So yeah, would love to connect with anyone. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Lauren Campbell, and I'm the founder and editor-in-chief of Rock and Rumor magazine, which is a music and travel magazine. I actually started in the industry when I was in middle school. I got with my local paper, and I was a concert photographer and writer for shows that came in town. And that connected me with promoters from Live Nation and other music journalists. And then in college, I studied political science and media. And the political science part helped me figure out contracts and things like that that you need in the music industry. And then media, of course, wraps so much, from social media to journalism to everything we do. From the music itself is a form of media. And I'm so excited to be here today.
And I am a show brand manager. That's just a fancy way of I run socials and do rollouts for musicians and in the entertainment industry, but just focus on the music industry.
Lily, you're kind of breaking up for me. I don't know if it's breaking up or anybody else.
Yeah, it's breaking up pretty bad.
So, coffee shop, so I don't know if it's like I can.
I don't think we can hear you at all now.
Yeah.
Type it in the chat.
Yeah, if you want to just type it in the chat, go for it.
Yeah, it's all good.
If you turn off your video, sometimes the audio will work, because depending on what computer you're using, the video takes up way more space and stuff like that. So maybe if you try to turn it off and then try again to speak.
I disconnected my AirPods. Can y'all hear me better?
Yes.
Oh my God, love that. Iconic. Okay, so hi guys, my name is Lily Martinez. I'm a digital brand manager. Like I said, that's just a fancy way of saying that I run social media for artists, musicians, athletes. I'm everywhere in the entertainment industry. I worked on a lot of big projects with a lot of record labels over the past year. I worked with 300 a lot. That's just someone that I've been with over the past year. And I've been doing this since I was 18. I'm 23 now. I started because I was a fangirl. I have no musical ability, but I loved music, so I just wanted to be part of it. And I studied communications and music and entertainment business in college. and been doing this ever since. So if you guys have any questions about social media, marketing, rollouts, I'm your girl and I'm happy to help with anything.
I'll go, I guess. Hi, Allison. I am a merchandise manager and VIP coordinator on tours. Went to school for music business, kind of started doing a little bit of everything until I found what I was good at. And apparently that was counting to 12. So I started doing merch. Yeah, I dropped my all my social media and stuff in that in the side chat and my LinkedIn. Feel free to hit me up at any time. And yeah.
I can go next. My name is Sarah Casson. I work at 1824 as a marketing and social media representative. So 1824 is with Universal Music Group. So we get to work with all of the labels and all of the artists. And my boss Wes is here. So that's Wes Davenport.
I think I'm supposed to introduce myself too. I might as well, Sarah. Hey, I'm Wes Davenport. I'm a director at 1824 at Universal Music Group. We're a creative solutions team at UMG. We connect artists to fans in that 18 to 24 demo. And we do amazing things like content creation, creative partnerships, PR, strategic partnerships, and all kinds of amazing things. We work to place young creatives in the music industry. Before that, I ran my own company for a few years. I worked with music venues, Red Bull, and some other things. So I can help you when it comes to like getting started. If you're in university, like how do you get into the music industry? How do you get your first job, your internships, any kind of career development, but I also specialize in PR, brand partnerships, and social media. Thanks for the love in the chat, everybody. Y'all are the best.
I can go. I do want to say Wes is so great. So if you need advice, reach out to him. He's incredible.
You're so great.
I love Wes so much. But and it's also great to see Allison because I've also worked for Allison before. I've worked with Wes, but I've worked for Allison before, and that kind of goes into what I do. I do live event production stuff. So I do VIP, merch, runner, PA. I've been doing that for the past 4 years. And then I got my start working with a local band and also at a management/label, doing digital marketing, working on the band's fan engagement, really building their community. But been doing a lot of live event stuff the past 4 years. And a lot of you might know me from Girls Behind the Rock show. I was the marketing director, or you don't know me, but I was the marketing director. So kind of a mix between marketing and live event stuff. Thanks.
I guess I'll go next.
Oh.
You can totally go, Mark. Do not worry.
Okay, I'm Mara Marcelino. I am a freelance music journalist and a social media director for Alchemical Records. And I've worked for Live Nation since 2016, doing guest services, backstage, security, and sustainability specialties.
What's up, everyone? I'm Dylan. I'm an artist and social media manager on the side of freelance and marketing strategy and trend forecasting. Prior to that, I was at Republic Records working in their pop marketing department. So I got to work on awesome campaigns with like Ariana Grande, the Jonas Brothers, Haley Steinfeld, and all that fun stuff. But I decided to leave the major side and just do things on my own.
Oh, I guess I'll go. 2 Dylans in a row. I'm also Dylan. I'm a music photographer, videographer, stylist, guitar player, director, do a little bit of everything. I got my start in bands on tours and stuff, and just sort of fell into photography, which led into, I guess, videography and directing and styling and creative direction and everything. That's it.
I can go. Hey guys, I'm Meg. I'm the director of licensing and soundtracks at RCA Records. I've been here for about 8 years now, believe it or not. I'm saying that to myself. So basically my team finds placements for our artists in films, TV shows, commercial campaigns, all that kind of stuff. I got my start in grad school because I was interning for an aspiring pop star who now sells like the British equivalent of Mary Kay on the internet. But I worked with him and just kind of fell in love with the music industry and studied screenwriting, so my love for music and film, TV shows kind of blends together in this job, and yeah, I'm really excited to be here.
Hi everyone, I'm Alessia Cusimano. I'm the A&R assistant at Universal Music Publishing Group, so I assist the two vice presidents of A&R at UMPG. But I also used to work for 1824 when I was in college. I graduated about 6 months ago. I'm also part of the Wes Davenport fan club. Wes, I got to work with Wes on 1824, and he was like one of my first mentors and teachers in the music industry. So it's good to see you, Wes. But yeah, thank you for having me on. Nice to meet you all.
Hello, my name is Jackie. I have been working for Live Nation since 2012. I started in the box office, moved up to a couple full-time jobs with them, also in ticketing. And then from there, I kind of just started branching out and doing things like running, production assistant, VIP, marketing, things like that at tons of different venues up in New York. And now I'm in Nashville, and I actually just got back from tour. I was out for about 6 months as a assistant tour manager, VIP coordinator. I was doing a bunch of things. So happy to answer any questions about all of that. Thanks for having me.
I guess I
I'll
can go.
go.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
My name is Emily MacArthur. I am a COVID compliance officer. I was formerly a live event worker for about 9 years. When the pandemic hit, I really changed my direction. I know I don't consider myself an expert in COVID-19, but I very much follow research and trends. I very much do a lot of training in this. Not currently employed, but I'm interviewing for jobs in COVID testing. Ideally, I'd be working as a consultant for tours under artist managers. So that's primarily what I do right now.
Cool. Hi, everyone. I'm Maggie. I'm a freelance touring content creator and creative director based in New York. I've been working with the band Need to Breathe for the last 6 months, and I'm working with them this year. And I've been doing photography for about 10 years and creative direction. And yeah, so if you have any questions about anything photo related, anything about creating content, or just like shows or wanting to be a music photographer, I'm your gal. So please feel free to reach out.
All right, is there any panelists that have not introduced themselves? I think that was...
Oh yeah, I can go.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm Ian. I'm currently doing my second semester interning for the Recording Academy in LA. And then I also work full-time as an A&R for More Entertainment. We have EDM, pop, R&B artists, and basically got my start by managing friends in college, and then sort of built that as like a case study, and then was able to actually show that to a company and get hired. And so like that's my big advice, like, you know, start networking and, you know, building teams now, and start building like that portfolio and, you know, growing as a collective. And yeah, thanks for having me.
Awesome. And then I think April, you can come on and introduce yourself.
Yeah, awesome. Hi guys, this is incredible. Wow. I founded Music Industry Connections literally just because I was bored, and I was like, what if we had some sort of like community based, like group chat based type thing, you know, because there's all these incredible resources, but all of them are centered around resources. So I founded it because I thought it would be cool, and a lot of people liked it, which is crazy. I was not expecting to hop on and see 81 people in here. But I just want to shout out my wonderful executive team, Tara, Ian, KJ, Jonah, literally everyone. Y'all are incredible. I'm actually on tour right now, so I have not done a lot, but they really were able to just kind of pick up kind of where I left off and really make all of this happen. So I just wanted to say thank you to them for sure. And I guess a little bit of background on me. I'm currently like in chaos mode because I'm working as a tour manager. And I've been all over the place, like jumping time zones. I'm in DC right now, in New York tomorrow. We were in Houston like 2 days ago. So it's been insane. But I'm working as a tour manager. I also am a marketing rep for Warner Music U. And I do a lot of artist management and kind of freelance stuff as well. So yeah, socials are in that networking sheet. If you haven't yet put your information in that networking sheet, you totally should. We can all make some fun little connections. And yeah, I guess if anyone has any future ideas for like panels or anything, definitely hit up any of us. We're really hoping to kind of take this somewhere. So that's all I got. Really, I mean, shout out Tara. She's killing this. I'll just send it back to her.
Shout out Sarah.
Thank you, April. Oh, I love you. I'm so grateful that you even like thought of this and did this, and that I mean, along with Ian, Jonah, and the others, that we could help you grow this. So it's amazing seeing, like she said, like all of these people in here. We did not think this would be something that just continuously growing. So. All right, so now for the panelists, me and the other moderators, we have some questions for you guys just to start off the conversation and get your opinions and answers for aspiring people who want to break into the industry. So my question for everybody, what are your tips for getting your application and resume noticed when applying for jobs?
I think the biggest thing that worked for me is making sure that you're quantifying every single bullet you can on your resume. It's just whatever you're doing, how much did you do of it? What is a percentage increase that you have, or different things that you've worked on. Just numbers have always stood out, and especially when I've been screening and I've seen previous bosses looking at it. It's not all about how much you can fit into it. You can keep it short and simple, but just show the mass that you've worked on.
I would totally agree with what Dylan said. As part of my job at Hit Video Promo, I recruit a lot of our interns. I've recruited probably at least half a dozen interns, maybe more, maybe close to a dozen. I've lost count. I started doing that a couple of years ago because I was like, oh, I bet I can find an intern. Now it's kind of become my job. So I look at a lot of resumes. I would say a really big thing, and this is one of the most basic pieces of advice that you will get, but I can't stress it enough, but make sure that your resume does not have any grammatical errors or spelling errors or missing punctuation or anything like that. Make sure that your email to the hiring manager does not have any errors or punctuation. You know, a lot of people do like really cool looking layouts with Canva or something like that. And I love seeing those, but it doesn't matter how cool your resume looks if it's full of grammatical errors. I hire for writing positions. I need to hire people who know how to write, who know how to communicate, and that pretty much like I'll pass over resumes that are full of grammatical mistakes, even if the person looks otherwise.
I love both of those. Those are so good, Dylan and Molly. I think I'm just gonna do like a little lightning round of like my top tips. I mean, like to me, it's always curate the resume to the job that you want. Like the music industry is it's a creative industry, so do your best in the design to show the creativity that you've done. Like Canva has some nice templates, but do you want your resume to look like, you know, another 30? Even if you're using Canva, you know, tweak the colors, the fonts. When it comes to fonts, I would suggest more of like serif fonts in general. Serif fonts are more creative. I know a lot of universities say like, oh, Times New Roman in a Word doc. Like that may work for other industries, but I don't think it helps you stand out in the music business. Include your phone number, turn your voicemail on, make a professional voicemail. So many people don't get jobs because they haven't set up a voicemail. Seems ridiculous, but it's true. I would also say put your education at the bottom and your skills up top. For a lot of these entry-level positions, or really any positions, people care a lot more about your skills and what you can do versus like maybe where you went to school. I think school in college and things like that, very valuable. But in this industry, like I've seen that be much more effective. And then like ditto, like talk about the work that you've done, the achievements that you've had. I think the last thing, just customize your resume too, depending on what job you're applying for. Like take each bullet point of the job listing and almost answer that as a question in your resume. So like definitely match it up. Don't just like mass email the resume. Last thing, find the hiring manager. It takes a lot of work. Do the LinkedIn stalking. You got to get in the system. So like go to the job bite site, Indeed, whatever, apply through there just to get in the system. Outside of that, make a personal connection through email or LinkedIn. Your resume and your cover letter is going to get seen so many more times. So I hope that helps.
Yeah, and I just wanted to touch on it from a photographer perspective because we're talking a lot about general resumes, but I've noticed when I'm applying or working with like management, they don't usually ask you for a quote unquote resume. So a big piece of advice that I would give is having a pitch deck or a one sheet with like the variety of the work and the clients you've worked with and best examples of your work, because you could send your website until you're blue in the face, but a lot of people will not take the time to click on something and go check it if you have a PDF attached to the email and it involves the person that you're trying to reach out to having to do no work in order to see what you're about and the quality of work that you're giving. You're going to have a lot more of a chance to get work with them. And I think especially that works if you're cold emailing because you want to work for an artist at a show or you want to tour, whatever the reason is that you found the contact information of management. Just anything that will save them time will help you stand out. And the more things that you can show them you know how to do in one place is always great. So I really highly recommend a pitch deck of visuals of all of your work.
I would also just love to add on to Wes's point about like finding the recruiter, finding the hiring manager or everything. That's something that I would really stress doing early on as much as possible, because there's what you don't want to do is find them and like slide into their LinkedIn DMs and be like, hey, can you get me a job? Because it's just, no one wants to see that. You want to see like the genuine connections, and you also want to make sure you're finding like the right person. I've had a lot of people kind of cold email me being like, get me a job at Warner Music. And I'm like, I'm literally an intern. I cannot do that. So first of all, like finding the right person. Second of all, just build up that like genuine connection. Like if you're going for a summer internship, start finding people now, start developing those relationships now, and they'll be able to see you and they'll be able to see your growth. And all of that is super, super important. And that's going to be a lot better for you than just, sending a LinkedIn DM, letting them know you applied. Like the relationships are always superior. Make it authentic, make it genuine, and just kind of have fun with it. You can meet a lot of really cool people, even if they're not the recruiter themselves.
I
That's
definitely.
another point. You can totally go.
I was gonna say I definitely agree with that, because Matt Bacon, aka Bacon Bits on Instagram, he does a lot of stuff for bands and gives them advice and stuff like that through like TikToks and his Instagram videos. And one of the things that he says is if a band just emails him and it's like, hey, I know you have connections with this person, can I have it? He's gonna be like, no. But anytime a band or an artist comes up to him or emails him and actually tries to make a genuine connection and follows his Instagram and actually comments and likes it and interacts with them and engages with them and actually shows that they care and really want what they need. And then he's like, yeah, I'm more to transfer their name over to who I have or give them the contact that they were asking for than someone who just thinks that things are just going to be handed over to them on a silver platter. So he definitely makes note that you definitely have to work hard for what you want and don't just be like, hey, I want this. You got to basically use your manners. And that's kind of funny because it sounds so childish, but it's so real.
I think
Completely.
out. Go ahead.
Okay. Basically, as cliche as it sounds, like really think about it in the sense of really be your best self when you're curating your resume. And if you're worried about experience, think about the transferable skills you've gained, the different clubs that you've worked in or volunteered or just any other thing. And you probably have done something that could relate to the current job you're applying for. So just holistically view your skill set, what you've done in the past couple of years, and think, hey, this actually can work in this way. And next thing you know know about budgeting, you know about marketing, you know about social media, because in some shape or form, you probably have done it. And it might not be directly in the music industry per se, but it's still a skill set that you can transfer into the industry.
And reaching out to your alumni network from your college is also major. If you go to your career center and you said, this is what I want to do you know someone who's an alumni who has the job that I want? And they can put you in contact with so many different people. And if you go on LinkedIn, if you look at the a place that you would like to work or that you're applying to, and you search under that the alumni for whatever school you go to, then you already have a connection based on your school, and you can reach out to that person as well.
I think just on a major label perspective, something that really helped me, which is like not really a sexy tip, but most major record labels or publishing groups or whatever have temp pools. And so I started actually as a temp. And usually each company has either like a specific agency they work with or an in-house agency or something like that. And I found that a lot of people in like my time have started that way. So just a tip for anybody looking to go into that corporate life.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you everybody for the answers to that question. That was a fantastic discussion. Hopefully we can continue with the next question, which is just what are your best tips for networking and maintaining relationships in the industry, both in person and virtually, since that's the direction things have been for a while?
Hey, so I know I'm not a per se panelist. I'm also a big fan of West Davenport, huge West fan. So I'm Brian. I work at Warner Music. I'm on the catalog acquisition and ingestion team. So we buy catalogs. And I actually started in the career, like in the music industry, like 5 years ago, working for Wes when he was at Mercy Lounge. And I think one of the biggest things you can do is just like maintain and continued conversations. Yeah, this is just the West Davenport Zoom call. But the thing is for me, so I started my newest job at Warner virtually, and it took me doing all of this virtually to get this job. And the way to do that is really, like everyone is saying, it's maintaining those connections. It's, you know, you're messaging people on LinkedIn, you're having continued conversations. And as you do that, it's not only just like a networking thing, it's like friends. Like, you know, we all want to do this for not only just a network, but like you're establishing connections with that people that you have mutual things you like. And I think that's what's also important, is that it's not just like you're reaching out to someone, you're saying, I want a job. It's you're reaching out to someone saying like, I'm genuinely interested in what you're doing. And how can I just learn more about that? I think that makes a really big difference.
Yeah, I definitely think that's a really great point. And like, it's actually kind of funny because like, I have never met Wes before, but I think we've developed a really good friendship. And like that's how I found like most of my networking, is like me connecting on a level of like, oh, we have a common interest, and then it just builds from there. Because if you're just reaching out just to be like, hey, I just want this job, or like, hey, I just want this information from you, and you just leave it at that, that's not helping anyone. And like, you really got to build that relationship. You really have to be like, all right, we're two people, we can connect on more than just like, I want this from you. Like it can be a lot bigger than that, and I think you get more out of that.
I personally think we need to like dismantle the word networking kind of in general, because I think that the word networking creates it to look like a transaction. And I think that this industry really operates on like real relationships of people that you actually trust and you actually want the best for. Like I even like connections, like it feels like very forced to me. So like for me, it's like I have a lot of people that I've become friends with, that I've built relationships, because on a foundational level, we're interested in this industry and we all want to do different things. And community is super important, but treating it like community and building up together and bringing your friends up with you, as opposed to like, what can you do for me and what can I do for you? And the transaction, I think, is like the reason people are successful. Because as soon as you stop viewing it as like, oh, well, I need to know someone here, there, and over there in order to get myself advanced and make money and do all these things. Like if you approach it that way, then that's going to get sussed out really fast, and people aren't going to really want to be around you or like be attracted to that energy. So it's just really important to know what your intentions are with people, and that if they never do anything for you, would you still want to be their friend? Do you still want to like have a relationship with that person? Because if you're approaching it like, how can they get me ahead, people aren't going to want to be around you at all. So I just think it's important to like dismantle networking in general.
I 100% agree with that. Like, it's totally about making friends. I mean, obviously you still want to respect that like professional boundary depending on who you're talking to, but I've met some of my best friends just from music industry, and it's been phenomenal. I met KJ Qbox in Texas like less than a week ago. I'm meeting Tara in less than a week. And it's just been incredible, like meeting people, developing these genuine connections, and then having like a friend who also gets it, like music industry wise. So definitely like do that, meet your friends' friends. I met so many people also just from kind of going off of my friends' connections and my friends' friends. And you just meet such incredible people. There's a really supportive community if you allow yourself to kind of break down that like gatekeepy type aspect and really just support other people and kind of be like as genuine and authentic in your friendships and connections as possible.
Also, quick note, and I'm going to pass it to Wes because I know I've seen you muting and unmuting a couple times. The people like, especially I've been hearing talk of like people reaching out like, hey, can I get a job? Hey, can I get this, that? Those kind of people get sussed out of the industry really, really quick in terms of having to put in the work. So, I think it's not as much of a question of like, will you be genuine? It's more of like, do you love doing this? And I think that's what goes more into that itself. And, like I love doing all things media. So I've just found myself repeatedly in this space. And a lot of that is, mutual respect and developing friendships. So I just wanted to highlight that.
Thanks, John. That's so good. That's so good, man. Yeah, I think the personal connection is important. If we just talked about resumes and we're thinking about like skills, experience, like that's important. But when you're working a job, the personal connection is important too. Like if you're around someone all day long, it could be remotely, it could be in person. You're going to want to vibe with them a little bit. You're going to want to have some shared values or some personality stuff because we spend a lot of time at work, right? We spend a lot of our lives. Ideally, we can surround ourselves by like good, kind, genuine people who want to lift up artists and make this place a little bit better.
And I just want to add on for the networking and connecting with people. I would say the number one thing I would give to artists or people that are trying to be a manager or anything else is don't set limitations on yourself. Don't think, oh, am I good enough to even email this person or DM them or whatever. If you want something, go after it. Don't be afraid to email that person because you know what? Just like they say all the time, the worst thing that can happen is they say no. But then at least you know they emailed you back, and you can always email them back a question and be like, okay, well, thank you so much for your honest answer. But what can I do to qualify or, be able to email you again and get a yes? As long as you answer and ask questions and be honest with yourself and honest with your intent. I mean, you're always going to learn something or make friends with somebody. You're always going to make something out of whatever email you send or DM you send. So don't be afraid to email someone, whether you think that you're in the league or not. So that's my advice.
I completely agree with you, Sarah. You can totally go.
You there, Allison?
Oh, she froze.
Oh.
Go ahead, Dylan, and when she comes back, she can.
Okay. I was just really completely agree with Sarah on that. Just do not be afraid and like walk into the room like you know everyone. And if you're going to a certain event and look up who's the brand manager or who is running the event on the logistical side, or familiarize yourself with different faces and just be on the fly, ready to go, and just don't be scared and bring up a topic, even if this is in person and or email. But another thing which is really important is always follow up. Never lose a connection, even if it's 3 months down the line. Personally, I made an Excel sheet and I made certain points. I try to like create a personal connection or something that, like a takeaway. And then let's say if it's a month later, I can follow up on it being like, hey, continuing off this conversation, or I remember you said you had this event or this release coming up, how is this? I would love to gain feedback. Just never lose connection or burn a bridge.
I just want to add one more thing. So Wes and we just caught up this week, and we were just talking about this. We were saying sometimes when you think about the whole business part of it, you can like forget why we're doing this. And it's because, like Wes and everyone's saying, it's because we love music and we love to support music and we love to support artists, or we like to be an artist or anything along those lines. Like I look back to when I used to intern, And I remember like working at Mercy Lounge, and I used to ask Wes every night. I would be like, "Can I just get tickets to the show? Can I just get tickets to the show?" And I would like go every night to a new show, and like it was like the greatest thing. Like I have a whole list of some of my favorite artists ever, or when I used to do that. And like it's so important when not separate from the being genuine, but just remembering why you want to do this and really enjoying that and saying like I enjoy being a part of this industry because it means something to me and I love helping people and I love helping create music or just making a difference in a certain way. And I think that's just like the best feeling when you really help in a certain way in whatever, kind of sect of the industry you're working in.
Those are some awesome answers. That's some great information for everybody here. I think the next question for everyone will be like, did you have any background knowledge before actually entering the industry? And if so, like, what were your early days like being introduced into the industry?
I have to hop off pretty quick, so I'd love to speak on this right away. You really don't need any experience. You can get experience. And if you don't believe me, I'll give you a little bit of background. I'm from the middle of nowhere, Wisconsin. My town has like 3,000 people. That's where I was born. My high school didn't have anything music related. I didn't know that you could have a career in music until I started college. And just looking back to like where I was a year ago I had no experience. I was writing for one magazine. That was it. That was the extent of my music industry things. And within a year, I did Warner Music Group's Career Classroom series. I actually interned with Warner Music Group and now work as a Warner Music U marketing rep. I'm a tour manager right now. I manage a couple different artists. I do publicity. And that's all things that you can get yourself immersed into very quickly. Like if you have the dedication and you're willing to put in the work and the time to get what you want, it's completely possible, especially right now with COVID. All of these different opportunities are becoming remote. So you're able to qualify even if you are from the middle of nowhere, Wisconsin, like I was, still am until I graduate college. But there's a lot of different ways that you can get in that are super, super easy. Like if you're good at writing at all, if you're interested in interviewing artists, if you're interested in reviewing songs, albums, whatever, magazines are always hiring. You can literally hop on Girls Behind the Rock Show. You can hop on Instagram, anything, any of those different like outlets. They're like 99% of the time you will find an outlet within 10 minutes that will take you on as a writer and stuff like that. Super, super easy. You can connect with artists, you can connect with publicists, all sorts of fun things like that. And you do that and you might get interested in publicity. You might take on some artist management type stuff. It's super similar. I've heard, I don't do any like photo, but I've heard similar lines with photography. You start capturing local concerts and then pretty soon you're doing bigger concerts and then you're doing festivals and then you're in that whole community. So you really just find something simple that you're passionate about, start working towards there, and you can totally grow from there. It's so possible. Literally just looking back to where I was a year ago, it's incredible just how much you can do if you really just go for it. And I'm like, I have so many things that I'd love to talk about, but I'm not gonna like waste everyone's time. But if anyone wants to connect further, feel free to like message me on literally whatever. I love having these conversations and just helping other people the way that people helped me, like giving back sort of vibe. That's it for me.
I just wanted to hop quickly on that and to speak on it from a photography perspective because it's super true. When I started out, I was in high school and I literally like Instagram got invented the year that I started doing photography. So that puts into perspective like how far we've come in terms of just being able to reach out and connect with people and how social media exists now and it didn't then. I literally like found a publication by cold emailing 100 publications, and this like tiny blog like took me on. And it's something that I joke about because the guy ran this blog on the side and his day job was a producer for the Dr. Phil show. So I joke about that because literally anyone can start a publication. If this guy can do it while he's a producer for Dr. Phil, anyone can start a publication. And I worked for him for a while. Then I found a slightly bigger publication. Then I started my own publication. And I really do recommend that if you have like the time to take on it and you want to do photography, because then you're the one sending the emails to publicists and managers and they're knowing your name and who you are. And I made connections with a ton of people that way. Is literally how I met some of the most successful publicists that I've become really good friends with just by putting my name out there. And also working with local artists, I think like it's really, the publication narrative is talked about a lot more than like just the working with artists narrative. And I think if touring is something that may be like an ultimate goal for you, meeting artists in your area and like going to those shows and forming those connections is going to get you a lot farther than like shooting the first 3 for a publication. So I think it just depends on like how you want to grow your portfolio, where you want to go as a photographer. There's like a million routes. I recommend doing everything so you have a hand in everything and you know how everything works. But essentially, like, that's literally how the trajectory worked for me. It was local artists and a small publication, and then I just kept building and building, started doing paid work for local artists, and then went off of that and eventually worked for labels and did festival work and stuff like that, and then toured. So I think that like if you put your mind to something and you love doing it and you're super passionate about it, like anything is possible, especially in today's day and age with social media and how easy it is to find people who do the same thing as you or the thing that you want to do and connect with them.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And I see in the chat, Allison said local bands are such a good way to get involved, which is so true. I also was a music photographer, and I say was because I don't really do stuff for other bands at the moment. But that's how I started out. I was taking photos of a local band, and then that's actually how I met my significant other. And that is how I ended up being the manager of his band, which is kind of funny. So my way in is kind of different than everybody else's, but honestly, I think just like April and everybody else is saying, as long as you're dedicated, then it doesn't really matter, you know, if you started a year ago, if you start today, if you start tomorrow, as long as you put in the time and the effort, because I can't tell y'all how many hours I probably logged on YouTube or Google and just typed in everything possible. And you know, they always say there's those like dark corners of the internet, and I'm like, trust me, there's some stuff that you can pull up and it'll be like the best thing you can read, and you'll feel like you know it all because you're just like, oh, okay, like I've done all this research. And honestly, that's all I can say is research is definitely key. If you don't know something, just look it up. And again, same with the networking, don't be afraid to ask people. I mean, again, they either don't respond or you get a response back. So I definitely have taken a lot of time talking to people and asking questions, and YouTube and Google are my best friend.
I would like to add a slight caveat, I think, to what some people are saying in terms of getting started. I definitely agree. I think, you know, blogs and writing and photography, I think that's an amazing way for anyone to get their foot in the door in the music industry, whether, you know, journalism and photography is your end goal, or your goal is to, you know, just make connections and meet people and do something else. I don't think you necessarily need experience, but you do need knowledge. Like if you're going to be a writer of any sort, you have to know what you're talking about. So you don't need to have like, I mean, when I ran my blog, I hired a couple dozen writers and photographers over the years, and I didn't really care if they had writing experience. I mean, I'm a blog that I started in like my college dorm. I'm not paying anybody, I'm not making money, you know, but I did care if they knew music, if they cared about music, if they were knowledgeable enough about music to write about it. I think it's good to, you know, expand your horizons in terms of the stuff you want to talk about, but you definitely have to have some knowledge as well as good research skills. If we're, you know, going to go far into journalism, you have to have the good research skills for sure. But I definitely want to stress the importance of knowledge of whatever it is, the area that you're going into. I think that's huge.
Something that somebody said to me in college that really stuck with me was it's really important to create opportunities for yourself and to like really advocate for yourself. Like I remembered when I was in college, I was working at 1824, and I was so lucky that I had this resource that could kind of like help me curate these opportunities with me. And I remembered I really wanted to go into A&R, and I really wanted to do publishing specifically. And with the help of like my bosses at 1824, I was able to kind of like create something that didn't really exist yet. And I used like the relationships that I had to form relationships with people over at UMPG. And then I just kind of started on my own, sending over like writers or artists that I had found. And I was kind of starting to do like a little bit of consulting for UMPG. And through that, I was able to like meet the team, and then eventually like that led to a job opportunity. So like you can always kind of find, like create your own opportunities to like find your way into certain rooms and doors. Like my brother, he's in college right now and he's applying for internships. And that was also another thing too, like, yeah. So when I was in college, COVID had hit, and it was really hard to get internships at the time. So I wanted to do publishing, but there was like really no internship opportunities. So something that I told like my younger brother when because he's going through the process right now, he's having a hard time finding jobs. So I was like, create opportunities for yourself. Like you want to work in music, start managing people on campus, like form a club, like form a group on campus of other people who want to be A&Rs like you. Like start creating these opportunities for yourself, because then when you finally do get those interviews, you can talk about like the things that you feel. Yeah.
I had the opportunity to actually create my own internship. Like I got to set the boundaries. I was the company's first intern. So once you set your own, like you have your first internship, then you know what to expect with other internships. So creating your own opportunities is definitely a good start.
All right, so the music industry is obviously something that's based a lot on passion. And I just wanted to know if for any of you, that passion has ever not died necessarily, but, been challenged, and how, that was countered.
I have to run in a minute, so I just want to jump on real quick and answer. It's definitely been challenged for me, not so much in terms of am I still passionate, because that's never changed in 12 years, but is my passion enough, and is this worth it? If you are, questioning if the passion is worth it, or if you still have your passion, anything like that, take a break. Like slow down. Maybe you need to switch gears, but seriously, take a break. Obviously, you can't necessarily take a break from your full-time job, but if you have, freelancing that you do, or, hobby type stuff that you do, take a break. Like that's like 1,000% okay. And, if you're able to like take a vacation day from your full-time job, I've done that. Like no shame in that. I think it's a very healthy thing to do. And I would certainly encourage everyone to take breaks as they need.
I'll talk as like a woman who like works in live events. It's really hard sometimes because you get questioned a lot, whether it be, are you supposed to be here? I don't think your pass is real. Can you actually do this job because you're a woman? And it does get very frustrating. But I kind of just have to remember that like I am confident in my skills. I know I'm good at my job, and like nobody else can take that away from me. And I'm here because I love what I do. So you kind of have to push away like the outside factors, and that does get hard. Like that's very easy for me to say right now. Like we have a lot of like outside factors that are pushing against us. But you chose this career path because you were probably passionate about music, and like that's just something to remember and to like really fall back on. It's like, I'm here because I'm good at my job and I love what I do. So just that has to be like kind of the thing in the back of my mind, especially on those hard days.
As mentioned earlier, like the question whether or not the passion is there. The passion is always there, but being taken seriously, as I said earlier, I started when I was 16, and not everybody took that as a serious as I wanted them to. They were like, oh, you're only 16, you don't know what you want. I mean, now I'm about to be 22, I'm still in the music industry, and I'm just glad that it hasn't dwindled.
Yeah, I just want to say, like, I mean, I can only speak for myself, but I think I speak for everyone when I say the pandemic has been a pretty rough time to try to feel like you work in music and to be fueled creatively and to feel like I work in the music industry. Maybe that's just me. Like, I think being a creative and like someone who live concerts is what I do, having that completely taken away, like was very difficult for me mentally and with just my identity as a person. I think like because I love what I do so much and I have so much passion for it, and being a creative, like my work is really an extension of myself. Not being able to do that at all by no choice or decision of my own was really hard, and I had to have a lot of tough conversations with myself on like how to be a human being and how to be happy as a person without being able to work. Because I think it's really easy when you're kind of hustle mentality to almost forget to like live your life outside of your job and like create that separation for yourself. So something that I've been like really trying to do ever since stuff happened again is really like learning to say no to things that just don't make sense for me and not feeling like I have to say yes to everything, and also making sure I take time for myself mentally. When you're on tour, it can be really difficult to have any alone time or feel like you have anything that's like in your control that you can do to like make yourself have a good day mentally. But I would always like wake up and go to sleep, and I would meditate right when I woke up and right before I went to sleep. And I would also like get myself 10 minutes like every day, even if it was 10 minutes, to just like be alone and like recharge myself. And I think it's important to like listen to your body and listen to yourself and like what you need and put yourself first as a human being, because I think everyone I know right now is pretty burned out. I think there's kind of a collective burnout going on, and it's just really important to take care of yourselves, because there is no music industry and you aren't you can't do your job if you're not taking care of yourself as a person. So like I just find it really important to like check in with myself and be like, am I enjoying this? Is this bringing me joy, or is this causing me stress and like contributing to me feeling anxious all the time? And like taking care of myself mentally and like knowing when to say no to things and knowing when to take care of myself and like give myself time off.
Yeah.
I think, oh, sorry.
You can go ahead.
Okay. I think adding on to that, definitely taking care of yourself is important. I think adding on to that is also taking into account the little celebrations, the little accomplishments, even the smallest ones that you have. I'm not in the industry like a lot of you guys are. I'm just an artist, but I think it applies to everyone in that sense. Those little celebrations can be reassurances of your passion and what you're really striving towards. So no matter how big or how small those accomplishments are, definitely take those into account.
I think also too, like fatigue is especially common lately because of the pandemic. Like a lot of us have been working remote. So something that's like really helped me kind of just like stay in it and stay in the game is like just, like calling or FaceTiming a coworker or like a friend who works in the industry and being like, hey, what do you think about this? Just like bouncing ideas back and forth and like bringing in people to like help you stay creative and help you stay focused has been like a huge help. Like I'm really lucky. I have such amazing coworkers who I've created like really great relationships with. So sometimes like I'll just call them on the phone if I'm feeling tired or I'm like, oh, like I just like, I want to relax today. I'll be like, no, you know what? Let me call my coworker. Be like, what do you think about this? I had this idea. And then we'll just like get in a great conversation about music. And then all of a sudden I'm like revamped and ready to go.
I think for me, just like something that helps me, like I think all of us are here because we really love music. And like the reason I fell into this job is because I was a professional fangirl for this British band called McFly. I don't know if anyone's heard of them, but they're amazing. Like I slept on the street to go to their first New York show. So like whenever I have moments where like sometimes working in the industry, you like peek too far behind the curtain and you see stuff that like doesn't make you feel good. I always try to like go back and like listen to the music that I did when I was 15 or like watch videos that I loved when I was a teenager that like got me here, because it always kind of it makes me remember why I'm doing what I'm doing. So that would be my advice.
Yeah, I think this is as good a time as any. Thank you so much for the discussion. We are going to wrap up this moderated portion and now transition to a short Q&A where people please raise your hands and we can call on you. I think it goes without saying, please keep it respectful. You will instantly be kicked out if there is any trolling or anything going on. So yeah, please, we can commence that portion now.
And if people are too shy to, just put them in the chat and we can read them off also.
I'm sorry, it cut out. Were you asking if anyone had any other questions besides the ones that they submitted?
Yeah, well, if you have questions that you did submit, you can feel free to ask them yourselves.
I think it has to be like raise your hand, and then I think you can be unmuted.
Oh, am I good?
Okay, yeah, it's unmuted.
Hi, how's it going there? I'm Kenny. Just wanted to say thank you guys for having me in this chat. Really great insights. Really, a lot of people I followed or know, and it's really cool to like get everybody in this one space. My question was, and I think I've learned a lot from this chat. But I like Maggie and like others. I'm a music photographer, but I'm also a music journalist. And right now, I'm trying to kind of, in addition to those things, kind of learn more about marketing, kind of more about promotion, kind of gain new skills, and kind of branch out. I have a little bit of merch experience. So my question was, in terms of like trying to transition skills in the industry or kind of market wanting to learn new skills, what's the best way of going about that? Is it just reaching out to somebody? Is it just kind of learning on your own? Or how do you kind of transition skills or kind of add kind of levels to it? Because I know it can be like when you're in one section, it can be kind of hard to transition sometimes.
I've got some thoughts on that, Kenny. It's good to see you, man.
Good to see you too, man. I was really happy I saw you pop in. I was like, Wes is here. So
I like that.
I was really
The
happy.
Joy Division shirt. I love it, dude.
You know, I gotta music industry panel. I gotta be prepared, you know.
Yeah, man. So like what I've done in the past and what I've guided some people to do, if they're like, it's almost like working your way backwards. So look at areas in the industry you're really curious about. And maybe to look for those jobs that are like career wise. It could be like 2 years ahead, like the assistant coordinator level stuff, or even 5 years ahead, like the manager level stuff. And start looking at those job descriptions and start looking, or even like go to LinkedIn or somewhere and like look at the skills of people you admire. So you're like looking at the roles, you're looking at the people, and look at what the skills that they have. So that gives you a bit of a roadmap to see like, oh, okay, this job posting says must be proficient in Photoshop, project management, blah, blah, blah. Well, okay, you got the Photoshop, that's like a hard skill. Project management, I mean, there are free project management software things like Asana, Monday.com. So you kind of take those and just work towards it. Does that give you like a little bit, or do you have any follow-up questions?
No, that's a good thing. Yeah. Cause I mean, I'm looking right now, like, I'd love to like maybe learn about PR. I'd love to kind of work on marketing. I know with some musical jobs, like sometimes it's like analysts or like UX designers, and I'm more photography, more of creative side, but obviously like I'd love to work with a company and learn new skills. So that kind of did kind of answer part of my question.
That's dope. I'm glad, man. Thanks.
There's nothing more than you can't solve with Google or YouTube, like whether if it's just like Google Analytics, Google AdWords, even mess around with free trials to just experience yourself more. Like for example, Chartmetric is a beautiful system to just learn everything about an artist or influencer. It'll just give you all of their numbers, but just like literally just research it and just find your way. Also, what I've done personally, I've gone through like Clio campaigns of different projects or releases that have been successful. And think about it, if you're one of your favorite artists and you see a billboard or you can't get a tune stuck out of your head, well, why is it in your head? That's basically marketing. Someone did something for that song to get into your head. So kind of like backtrack the steps and look at the different advertising campaigns or different media outlets and who wrote this article. And then you get to kind of paint the picture of the marketing campaign, and you can like learn the ins and outs of why it actually came into your head.
That's a good point. Thank you so much. Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely trying to take advantage of these resources. So thank you.
Hey everyone, name is James. Thank you all for putting everything together. This is super awesome. My question is, so I think one thing um, being I guess part of being an artist and being part of the music industry is that information is key. Connections are incredible, and becoming a source of information for other people to be able to help is something that I want to strive for. So I wondered if there are any resources that any of you have found that you've been like, yep, something's clicked, this is incredible, either for like marketing or grant writing or anything, just resources you're like, you need to read this article or you need to get this book, this is incredible.
Everything You Need to Know About the Music Business by David Passman. Is that his name? There's like a bajillion editions of it. They lay out it every year with like the most recent like technology and all that jazz. So I would definitely recommend that. I think that's everyone, like I think everyone has read that book.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
I also think, especially when it comes to grant writing and press releases and that type of thing, looking at examples. If you look up example music industry press release or example music industry grant, you'll find tons of examples. And I think reading those will really help you too.
Awesome. I think that's all for my questions right now, but thank you so much.
Yeah. We'll do a few more and then we will let you all go.
I think I was just asked to unmute. Cool. My name is Jad. I'm an artist, singer, songwriter, all the things. Anyway, I don't really have a question. I just wanted to say thanks for having a Zoom call like this. Like, as someone who's been doing music since basically like 2015, it's like the gatekeeping nature everybody was talking about is like very real. And like going through that is just like seeing a community like this where people are actually willing to get on a Zoom call and talk has just been super refreshing. And even like 3 to 4 years ago, something like this, I don't think was like even a thing. So just want to say thanks for everybody who's actually involved in like actively taking a part in this, because it's something that's super important, especially for people who are like starting out and have no idea where to go. Yeah, so I just want to say thanks for that.
Yeah. Okay. I think we'll give it like 2 more questions and then we will call it.
Hi. I hopped on a little late, but so my question is about keeping connections, because I find that right now I'm a college student, I'm a junior, and like I'm trying to reach out, create those opportunities for myself, because I like really want to do live events or maybe even PR, and I'm trying my best, but I just don't want to come off as like fake when I'm making connections and want to maintain them. So I guess my question is like, how do I keep the relationships that I've made and the connections that I've made?
That may be a good one for this. This whole past year, I sort of had a little motto, just calling everything phone call season, where I would just call like anybody that I worked with, any producers, directors, friends, photographer, whatever, just call them and say, hey, like, don't ask for anything. Don't try to network, that whole thing. And I mean, you'll be surprised how few people, especially once people are higher up, like people don't really call just to say hey to them. It's always business, work, gigs, things. So like me, I mean, I call people and I'm just like, hey, what's going on? Like, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, holidays, whatever. Just casual check-ins on you want them to be friends. You want to treat people like they're friends. Just call them like they're your buddies. Be like, dude, what's going on? How's life? That sounds like silly and so low key, but that's such an important one, at least for me in my line of work, where you want to just be buddies with people. And I mean, it's as easy as just simply calling, texting. You don't have to call if you don't want to. I know some people are not a phone call fan. I would rather talk on the phone for 2 hours. Yeah, that's it. It's a big one for me. Just don't be afraid to call and just be friendly. That's
And
almost never.
I'll add to that too after him.
Oh no, I'm good.
Okay.
You have it. Do it.
No, that was I agree with them. That's like perfect advice. Like you don't, I think a lot of people when they hear the word follow-up, they think like, oh, you're emailing them again to ask for something else.
Like a
Just
formal
using-
email. Yeah.
Yeah, like you don't have to follow up to ask for something. You know, if you did have, you know, like a phone call or an email or any type of form of communication with someone, you can always do a follow-up and just be like, hey, like this is what I learned from it, this is what I took from it, or thank you so much for taking the time out to do this, I can't wait to reach out to you again. Like you always kind of want to like leave your mark. You always want something to stand out about you, and a lot of people like when you message them. You know, it's kind of like when you always hear like your friend, like when you leave your friend's house and they text you like, oh, like I had a great time at your house. You're just like, bro, you just left my house. Like they low-key want that. They want you to, right when you're done, like with an interview or something like that, like don't do it like that instant minute, but like wait a day and email them or call them or message them back and be like, hey, you know what? That was a really great interview. That was a really great conversation. This is what I like. This is what I'm going to take from it. You know, I can't wait to talk to you again. And they're gonna be like, oh, okay, like this person, you know, actually cared about what I said and everything else. They're not just trying to use me. They actually are taking what I'm said and taking it seriously. So, I mean, just like he said, just be friendly. Don't just, I mean, it's good to be like a business person and be professional, but at the same time, don't be like so like hardcore that, because then they're gonna be like, okay, like, you know, that's a little scary.
Yeah.
I also think something I've learned is that people really like talking about themselves. So like the more questions that you ask people, especially in our business, at least I've learned, we love it. So like that's something I think do the most of.
I think
I moved
it's also like, yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, I moved to LA for work like about 4 months ago from the East Coast. And when I moved out here, like I really didn't know anyone. So I was like, it felt really daunting to like make connections and like even just making friends. So I was like, you know what, like I'm just gonna, the easiest way to make friends was just like to make friends with people that I work with. But because I wasn't in the office, like I would literally just hit people up on the side. Like if I was on email with someone, I would hit them on the side and I would just be like, hey, like we should grab coffee. And then when I would have those like intro coffee meetings, I would literally just like sit with them and ask them questions about themselves and like meet them as a friend instead of like meeting them as somebody that I was doing business with. And that's how I met some of my best friends in LA. And like, because now some of those people are some of my best friends, like we've been able to make like, really cool things happen. So just like honestly treating everyone that you do business with like the same way that you would treat your friends is how I think it's like great to keep in touch with people.
I just wanted to like re-stress something that I said earlier, because I don't know if you were here, but that just to dismantle the word networking and just treat everyone equally like a human being and form genuine relationships with people, because people can really tell when you're being genuine versus when you're only talking to them because you want something from them. So like you might think, okay, yeah, this person works at the label or this person's a manager, and it would be really cool to know them because like in my head, the more people I know, the better it is for me, right? But you don't want them to feel like you're only talking to them or you're only like taking time out of their day because they can do something for you. And I also want to stress that like with calling and following up with people, like it's important to know what your relationship with that person is. Like if I meet a manager for the first time, I'm not going to like constantly talk to them. But if it's someone that like I've worked with for a million years or whatever, that's a friend of mine, I'm gonna be like, hey, happy holidays, hope you're having a good time, and like catch up with them just as a human being. But like just kind of weighing those relationships and knowing where you stand with people is really important. And also I think Wes made a really good point in the comments about like not being concerned or taking it personal if people don't answer you, because people are really busy, and a lot of the times like they'll see it and it will matter to them, but they might not have the time to respond or answer because their day might be busy. So I think for me, it's just approaching it genuinely, knowing that you're trying to befriend that person as a human being, and then you both happen to work in the same industry, and then you never know what will happen, but just approaching it like you just want to get to know them and not what can they do for me or what can I do for them.
Yeah, I completely agree with that, Maggie. I think it's super important. I mean, everything that you guys are saying, it's definitely something that's, I mean, there's plenty of resources out there, and like Wes and everybody's putting in the chat, Definitely go through, read those, listen to those podcasts, just make those connections, and you very well can someday find yourself within the industry doing something, whether it's if you want to do what you want now or something in the future. So, all right, we will do the last question and then we will close this out.
Do we? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know you unmuted me. Was you picking me? I saw someone else had their hand up too, so I didn't want to like overstep.
Oh no, you're good.
But hi everyone, my name is Desiree Charity and I'm a graduate student at Virginia Commonwealth University. You probably never heard of it, but it's in Richmond, Virginia. And I've been working in higher ed and marketing communication for the past few years, but I'm looking to shift into the music industry. So I kind of feel like I'm a little late in the game than others, but this panel has definitely helped me and made me feel so much better. So I really appreciate it. And I definitely feel those that aren't in areas in the country that, have heavy music industry opportunities. So thank you so much for everything and all the advice and information. But my question, okay. So I'm definitely looking to relocate after graduating. So I wanted to know if anyone had any recommendations on areas besides like, LA, New York, Nashville, that I could look at that may have some in-person, I guess, opportunities, since I know a lot of things are virtual now. So feel free to send any suggestions that aren't too expensive because, New York, LA, it's kind of crazy. So yeah, would love to hear what y'all think.
What do you want to do?
Oh yes, I should have mentioned that first. Sorry. So like I said, I'm very new. Don't have like a lot of experience. So I'm interested in marketing, maybe digital marketing, fan engagement, live shows, and touring. Something around those aspects.
I can speak to the touring aspect. If you are interested in touring, the nice thing is you do really have the freedom of living wherever you want to, as long as you're near a major airport. That said, it's definitely easier to start out in markets where you've got a little bit more going on. Live is such an interesting world because obviously, like you said, New York, Nashville, LA, those are kind of everyone's thoughts. But I find that if you're starting out, it's kind of easier to start out in a not so saturated market because there's a bajillion people in LA, there's a bajillion people in New York. So I would definitely think maybe somewhere in Texas. There's a ton of Austin is the live music capital of the world. Dallas always shows coming through. Atlanta always shows coming through. Anywhere that has a lot of shows is a good way to get you in the door when it comes to live. There's always people looking for anyone to work at venues, etc. But all venues are hiring right now, it seems. I lived in Chicago for 6 years, and that was a good place for live. I wouldn't say it's a good place for anything where you want to work in marketing or anything like that. Aside from Live Nation, there wasn't much of a presence of really any of that kind of thing. But if you want to work in live, Chicago's a great place as well. Yeah, that's what I got so far.
Yeah, I'll definitely add on to that. And I know Qbox put it in the chat too. Yeah, I 100% would say Texas. More specifically, I mean, you can pick which city or town you'd want to be in, but we have that huge hotspot where it's Dallas, Austin, San Antonio, Houston. Girl, just pick one and move there and you'll go travel to all of them no matter what anyways. Yeah, Austin is just like she said, it is always popping. It's huge. They have a lot of venues. Houston, we have a lot of venues. We just even got a new music venue, actually 2 new music venues that just opened up. And I mean, there's shows almost all the time. It's so hard being in the music industry and being friends with everybody because some nights there's 8 shows all at once and you're like, I'm just going to stay in so I don't upset any of my friends. I didn't go to their show. So yeah, Houston, Dallas, San Antonio, Texas is huge in music right now for sure. So, but yeah, besides that, Chicago, I definitely know I communicate with a lot of people from there. And like you said, LA and New York, but Ohio, definitely. It kind of, it's slow but really fast at the same time. Jim Wirt is there with Superior Sound, and I know a lot of people want to go work with him and do stuff with him, and he did music for Hoobastank and a lot of other people. So Ohio does have a music scene as well.
I'll also say that I'm DMV area, and I do live event stuff. If you're doing like local live event stuff, it is definitely like quite the commitment, because the range of where I work is all the way from like Hershey, PA, all the way down to Northern Virginia, and I'm based in Baltimore. So like you're gonna have to go in with that mindset. Like there is some travel. Like, but if like you're already in Virginia, it might just be worth it to like, you know, move up to Northern Virginia, because there is like, you know, it's a hot pocket, lots of people, lots of shows happening. So that's like a good way to at least start, and it's not like a huge moving commitment, and like you could do it for a little bit. And like obviously if you haven't done live events before, some people don't end up liking that anyway, so like it's a good way to like at least try it out, see if you want to continue doing it. And you could always find marketing stuff around Northern Virginia, DC, that maybe isn't specifically music, but maybe something entertainment related, and that still can transfer over to music if you want to move somewhere else and really pursue that.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask. Like, since record labels are only in, you know, certain like larger cities, what companies could I look to maybe get those other kind of like marketing away from like, you know, the live show venue opportunities, like agencies and firms, or like what do you guys suggest?
So Desiree, like in the UMG system, I can give you my perspective. We're at an interesting point. So New York, Nashville, and LA are just where the companies are based. That's where like the staff is present and gathers. There is becoming more of a label staff presence in Atlanta and Miami. So those are cities, there are more opportunities, more people, and more competition. You know, like that's just what it is. Labels and companies may be more open to having more remote employees. I don't know. I would keep an eye on like what the cultural landscape looks like. You know, like, why are we going to have an office? Is it to gather? Is it to have community? Is it to have those creative conversations? I don't know what the future holds. I'm just telling you what it is right now. And personally, if you want to work for a record label, you know, look at your favorite labels, look at where they're based. I still think location and being able to physically gather, particularly at the start of your career, that's going to matter a whole lot. That's what I think.
That's really helpful. Thank you so much.
Oh, your Cowboy Bebop shirt rules. That is so cool.
Thank you. It was on sale at Urban, so I had to grab it, had to come home with me.
That's incredible. I've got to run, everybody, but I just want to say, like, thank you so much for coming to this. Thank you for making me a part of it. Thank you, Tara, and everybody who has helped coordinate it. I know there were some like weird, rough moments, but overall, like, if you think about it, we all gathered here today. We all got to be together. We met some really cool people, and I'm grateful for it. Thanks for making this a great Friday for me.
Thank you, Wes.
Yes, thank you. Ditto what Wes said. That about wraps up this Zoom call. We all appreciate y'all talking and conversing, connecting. I'll remind y'all again, we do have a Google Sheet. If you want to connect with other people, use your @ for any social media, your email, what you do, anything, any information. Yeah, thank y'all for coming. I'll be in the Discord if y'all aren't already on there. I'm down to talk about music, show off your vinyl collection, you know, whatever you want to do. I'll be in there to connect if you want to join. And I'm gonna pass it to Tara.
Yeah, we just want to say a huge thank you for all the panelists, all of the people who came here to listen to them. And I mean, minus the little blip, it was a great panel and it was a great experience listening to everybody and hearing about it all. And if you guys aren't in the Discord, we can gladly send the link. If you want to either like email us or we can send it in the chat for you guys to join. Just again, a huge thank you for everybody. and hopefully we will have you guys on more gladly. You guys all did so great.
All right. Thank you all for coming. We'll talk to y'all later. Y'all have an amazing weekend.
Thanks, guys.
Bye, everyone. Have a good weekend.